All right, folks, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. We'll get started in next 5 minutes. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Can you guys confirm if I'm audible? Can you hear me? Right? Can you hear me? Please write in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, we are going to do CDS mathematics. Right? If you can hear me, kindly let me know in the chat. Yeah. Am I audible, folks? Am I audible? Okay, Ronaldo Games is here and he's saying yes, I'm audible. Okay, so we'll be doing some 25 odd questions over here today, right? For the CDS examination that has already happened, okay, on 18th of September, right? Okay, we'll try to find out the best possible ways to do these questions over here. It's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, right? Session is going to be absolutely interesting and you will realize that mathematics is not that tough. Okay, right? So we have 4 of you tuning in over here today, right? So without wasting any time, let's get started. Okay, right? So the first question over here, it says let p of x be a polynomial where p of x is divided by, right, when p of x is divided by x minus 1. Okay, when if it is divided by x minus 1, then what happens? Then what happens that remainder is equal to 2. Okay, remainder is equal to 2. And as over here you guys must have learnt already that whenever whenever p of x is divided by a polynomial, right, a polynomial x minus a, the remainder in that case is nothing but p of a. Okay, p of a, right? So this is what the stuff is. Okay, this is called something called remainder theorem, right? So r is equal to 2 over here in that case, right? So if r is equal to 2 over here in that case, which means 2 is equal to p of 1, isn't it? If 2 is equal to p of 1, so let's just keep this in a box. Okay, right? So it leaves 2 as the remainder, right? When p of x is similarly divided by x minus 2, right? So in that case remainder is equal to 1. Okay, again pulling in the same remainder theorem as what we have discussed over here. So this value 1 will be equal to p of 2, isn't it? Okay, so this is what we have over here, these two stuffs, right? So now what? Okay, now they are saying, now they are asking what is the remainder when p of x is divided by x minus 1 into x minus 2. This is what they are asking. Okay, now let's try to understand that you are dividing, okay, you are dividing this particular polynomial by a 2-degree polynomial. Okay, right? If you are dividing that by 2-degree polynomial, right? Let's say if I am saying if I want to divide x raised to the power 5 by x raised to the power 4, right? Remainder is how much? Remainder is x, right? So the degree of the remainder is less than the degree of the divisor, isn't it? So which means over here we don't know what is going to be the remainder, so we are assuming a remainder which is less than the degree. What is the degree over here, right? If you open this one, x minus 1 into x minus 2, right, it will be x square minus 3x plus 2, right? This is what it is. So in that case degree is how much? Degree is 2 because ax square plus bx plus c, right, isn't it? So which means over here we are assuming a remainder over here which is equal to ax plus b, right? So this is the remainder is what we are assuming, right? Now you have learned, all of us have learned something called, right, all of us have learned something called over here dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder, right? This is what we have studied, all of us have studied, right? So in that case what exactly do we mean over here? How exactly this one works out over here, right? So this one we are writing dividend is how much? P of x, right? P of x is equal to dividend, okay, sorry, dividend is equal to divisor. What is a divisor? This is the divisor, okay? So x minus 1 into x minus 2 into quotient. We don't know what is the quotient, so we are assuming quotient as q of x, okay? Why we are writing that? Because we are solving it in terms of the polynomial. Plus remainder we have already assumed over here, which is how much? Ax plus b, okay, right? So from this we have written, right, dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder in terms of polynomial. So this is how it looks, right? Okay, now we know 2 is equal to p of 1, okay, right, p of 1, right? So if you put that value over here, p of 1 over here, if you put 1, so this whole stuff will become how much? 0, right? If the whole stuff becomes 0, so what we'll be left with? Ax plus b over here, right? And which will be equal to a plus b, right? Which means what? P of 1 is equal to a plus b, or otherwise also p of 1 value is how much? 2, right? So I'm writing it over here, a plus b is equal to 2, okay? A plus b is equal to 2 is what I'm writing, okay? That's my first observation, right? Similarly, if I'm using over here, right, similarly if I'm using over here something called this particular value p of 2, right? If I'm using p of 2, if you write down 2 over here, x minus 2, this whole stuff will become 0, right? If this whole stuff becomes 0, so over here you will be having 2a plus b, and we also have p of 2 value is equal to 1, okay, right? So 2a plus b is equal to how much? 1, okay? So 2a plus b is equal to 1 is what we have over here, right, folks? The first question is what, I mean, yeah, it's a bouncer, obviously it's a bouncer, isn't it? So you will have to understand it, okay? You can't help it. Now if you solve for it, right, if you solve for it over here, right, so you will be finding b value is equal to 3 and the value of a over here will be equal to minus 1, okay? Solving these two, right, in tandem, right? Now we have over here, this one is gone, okay, this one is gone, all of these are gone, okay, all of these are gone. Then they are asking what is the remainder, when p of x is divided by this. Okay, so what did we say over here? When p of x is divided by x minus 1 into x minus 2, the remainder is ax minus b. Okay, so the remainder is ax minus b. A value is minus 1. Okay, so minus x plus b, or otherwise 3 minus x. We have C as an answer to this particular question, folks. Okay, yeah, you please go through the question again. Okay, I have explained you in much more detail, right? Okay, so if you have any problem in understanding it, please go back and try to understand it again, right? Okay, now we have some easy questions, so we'll move a bit fast. Consider the following in respect of a positive real number. Okay, positive real number, when you know if it's we are talking about the positive real number, it's always the case that the sum of the number and its reciprocal is always greater than or equal to 2. Okay, positive real number, if I take 1 plus 1 by 1, okay, right, it is equal to 2, right? Okay, even if you take 0.1 plus 1 by 0.1, right, how much is that? 0.1 plus this one will become how much? 10, right? This is 10 plus 1, again it is greater than 2, right? Isn't it? So one thing is certain, that the sum of the number and its reciprocal is always going to be, right, is always going to be greater than or equal to 2, right? If the summation of the number and its reciprocal is greater than or equal to 2, then what do you say? Is it correct or wrong? Right? X plus 1 by x is going to be correct for sure. Okay, right? Now we know the minimum value over here, x plus 1 by x, right? The minimum value of x plus 1 by x over here is 2, right? So if you put 2 over here, 2 square is going to be 4, then this one is also absolutely correct, folks, right? Okay, and then as I said, this value is 2 raised to the power 4 is how much? 16. 16 is absolutely greater than 9, right? So for question number 2, 1, 2, 3, all these 3 will be the correct answers, right? Easy. Now let's move on to the third question over here in that case. Okay, so we'll move to the third question. Right? Yeah. So let's move to the third question over here, right? Let P and Q be natural numbers. Okay, it is saying that let P and Q be natural numbers over here. Okay, right? P and Q are natural numbers such that Q is greater than P. Okay, P and Q be natural numbers such that Q is greater than P, right? So what is the largest value of P such that Q square, right, Q square minus 5P minus 4 is negative. Okay, so if I am assuming over here, right, the expression that is given over here is Q square minus 5P minus 4, right? Right, Q square minus 5P minus 4 is what we have got the expression over here, right? Okay, and we want this entire expression to be negative. Okay, if we want this entire expression to be negative, then it has to have very strong value of P, isn't it? But they have also said that Q is greater than P, right? So if Q has to be greater than P, it will be what? We have to minimize the value of Q, right? But if Q has to be greater than P, then if P is 3, then Q will be 4. If P is 4, then Q will be 5, right? If P is 5, Q will be 6, right? If P is 6, then Q will be 7. This is obvious, isn't it? Because we have to minimize the value of Q, because ultimately we have to get it negative. Okay, and Q value is greater than P, right? Now over here Q square, right? If I assume over here, right, the first option, right, q square is how much? 16 minus 15 minus 4, right? Is it a negative value? Yes, it's a negative value, right? Now if you check for b, which is the second option over here, right, q square, right, q square value is 25 minus 25 minus 20 minus 4, right, which is a positive value, right? Similarly, if you check for 5 and 6 also, it is going to be a positive value, right? So if these are going to be a positive values over here, right, then obviously the largest value for p, right, such that q square minus 5p minus 4 is negative, is equal to how much, right? 3 over here. Sorry folks. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, let x and y be natural numbers less than 20, right? This is what they're saying. X and y are the natural numbers less than 20 such that x comma y, x plus y and x minus y are prime numbers. Okay, so what you have to do in such questions, first of all, write down all the prime numbers which are less than 20, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16, right? Then 17 18 and 19. Okay, right? Okay, yeah, right? X and y, okay, this summation of these two, right, 2 comma 3, right, summation of these two is 5, difference is minus 1. It will not work out, right? It will not work out, isn't it? Okay, right? Now you need to realize one thing, we can't take the summation of the odd numbers, isn't it? We can't take the summation of the odd numbers, so one number has to be 2 for sure, that is given, isn't it? Okay, so the value of x is going to be 2 for sure, isn't it? Why? Because other numbers are odd, and you know odd plus odd is equal to even, and we have only one such number which is even and also a prime number which is 2, right? So the summation has to be a prime number for sure, right? So now with 3 did not work out. If it did not work out with 3, let's check it with 5. So 2 plus 5 is 7 and 5 minus 2 is 3. Yeah, absolutely, we got this, right? Now with 5 it worked out, right? Does it work out with 7? 2 plus 7 is 9. No, it doesn't work out, right? 2 plus 11 is 13, right? 2 plus 11 is 13, right? Okay, right? Summation is 13, difference is 9. Okay, so it will not work out, right? So 2 plus 15, 2 plus 13 is how much? 15, not a prime number. 2 plus 17, right, is 19. Yeah, 2 17 19. Okay, right? 2 plus 17, right, and 19 minus 2 is again the same number, right? Okay, so the first number is 2, then y is how much? 17, and 2 plus 17 is 19, and then what? Okay, then the difference is how much? Not 17, 15. Again it is not working out because 15 is not your prime number, right? And you know 2 plus 19 is how much? 21. So what we realize that we have only one such case, which is 2 5 7 and 3. Okay, 2 is a prime number, 5 is also a prime number, 2 plus 5 is 7 and 5 minus 3, right, or x minus y, right? Okay, in that case, which is how much? 3. So how many values are possible in that case? We have only one such value possible over here, folks. Okay, right? Now question number 5 is very interesting. Let's pay attention over here, right? So x plus 1 right, x plus 1 into x plus p, then what is the value of p is what they are asking, right? So they are asking for the value of p, so it should satisfy for all the values of x, right? So what if I am saying over here the value of x is equal to 0? Okay, if I say the value of x is equal to 0, so 0 plus 1 into 1 plus p, right? 0 plus 1 into 1 plus p, right? And 0 plus p square, right, is equal to, I'm saying x is equal to how much? 1. Sorry, not 0, right? I'm saying x is equal to 1, not 0. I mean, you can put 0 as well, right? That's not a big deal, okay? But I'm putting x is equal to 1, okay? It won't make much of a difference even if you put x is equal to 0. Okay, let's do it both the ways. Okay, let's just do it x is equal to 1. So over here this particular value will become 1 plus 1. Okay, this one will become 1 plus p, right? And this particular value will become 1 plus p square, and 1 square minus 1 will give you how much? 0, right? Now this particular value will become 2 into 1 plus p into 1 plus p square is equal to 0, right? Or otherwise simply 1 plus p into 1 plus p square is equal to 0, right? Right? So how can this particular value 1 plus p into 1 plus p square can become 0? How can this thing can happen? Okay, how can this thing happen? Okay, so for that thing to happen, you need to have the value of p. Okay, you need to have the value of p as how much? Okay, right? For this to happen, you need to have the value of p is equal to minus 1. Then only, no, 1 minus 1 over here, this particular value will become how much? 0, right? Yes or no? Yes or no, folks? Right? Okay, so this is gone, question number 5. Now look at this question number 6. How sweeter type of question is this question number 6 over here, right? Okay, now they are saying this particular value plus this particular value, right? Anything raised to the power 0 over here will give you how much? 1, which means this whole stuff will become 1, and this whole stuff over here will also become how much? 1, isn't it? Okay, all these stuffs will become 1, right? So which means what do we understand from this is that the value of x is equal to 0. Okay, if the value of x is equal to 0, right, so which means this particular value is simply nothing but 1 minus 1, which is your 0. Okay, right? So this was your question number 6. Now moving on to question number 7 over here, it is saying 1 by a plus 1 by b is equal to 5 by 6. Okay, 1 by a plus 1 by b is equal to 5 by 6. Okay, right? So can I write something like 2 by 6 plus 3 by 6 is equal to 5 by 6? Can I write something like that? Okay, which means this value is comparable to 1 by a, and this value is comparable to 1 by b. Okay, which means 1 by a is equal to 2 by 6, right? Isn't it? Okay, right? Which means a value is equal to how much? The value of a is equal to how much? Okay, right? The value of a is equal to 3 in that case, right? And similarly in that case over here, the value of b, right? Okay, the value of b will be how much? 1 by b is equal to 3 by 6, right? So the value of b is equal to 2. Okay, right? Now what we will do, instead of doing this, what we will do is that instead of writing like this, what we will be writing, the value of a is equal to 6 by 2. Okay, right? Or otherwise we'll just leave it as it is. Okay, we will leave it as it is. Okay, now if you do the square of this, right, so 1 by a square will be equal to how much? 4 by 36, and 1 by b square is equal to how much? 9 by 36, right? 1 by b square, 1 by a square, right? So 1 by a square plus 1 by b square is equal to 4 by 36 plus 9 by 36, which is as good as your 13 by 36. As good as 13 by 36. Yes or no? Right? So similarly, now you know the value of 1 by a is this and 1 by b is this. Okay. So 2 by 6 whole cube plus 3 by 6 whole cube. You know in the denominator the value is going to be 216, and over here 8 plus 27. Right? So question number 7, B is going to be the correct answer, folks. Right? So you have to think through it. Okay, got to think through it, folks. Right? All right, let's move quick over here. They're asking what is the remainder when x raised to the power 6 is divided by x square plus 1. Okay, so can I simply assume the value of x is equal to 2? If I assume the value of x is equal to 2, x raised to the power 6 is how much? Okay, 4, 8, 16, right? 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Yeah, so x raised to the power 6 is equal to 64 is what we have. So when 64 is divided by x square plus 1, the value of x square plus 1 is how much? 5. Okay, if it is divided by like this, then in that case remainder over here is equal to 4. Okay, if remainder is equal to 4, this is not the answer. This is not the answer, right? Okay, they have not given the answer remainder is equal to 4, right? It is as good as saying that remainder is equal to minus 1. Okay, right? X value is equal to 3 is what we have taken. So this one is also not the correct answer, folks. Okay, right? So that was about your question number 8, right? All right, so we'll move to the next one. Okay, so x plus 2 is a factor of which of the following? Okay, x plus 2 is the factor of which of the following is what they are asking. Okay, yeah, x plus 2 is the factor of which of the following? Okay, yeah. So yeah, first of all, what you are supposed to do, right? Forget the sign. Okay, if you forget the sign, so x plus 2, if we have to write in a factor theorem, right, we equate that with 0, right? So the value of x is equal to minus 2. Okay, so if we put the value of x is equal to minus 2 in each of these, okay, each of these, okay, then any one of these 4, by putting x is equal to minus 2 in each of these 4, and in any one of these 4 you will get 0. Okay, if you get 0, then that particular one is your that particular expression is completely divisible by the given x plus 2, right? Given expression x plus 2, right? So we can't do it one by one, right? Okay, so what we are first going to do, we are first going to ignore the sign. Okay, we are simply going to check x is equal to minus 2 and x raised to the power 5. Okay, x raised to the power 5 is how much, right? X raised to the power 5 is how much? Okay, right, it is minus 32, right? Now this minus 32 is coming from the value of x only. Okay, I'm not taking into consideration each of these sign. Okay, each of these sign I'm not taking into consideration as of now. Okay, right? Now 4 into x raised to the power 4. Okay, 4 into x raised to the power 4, which means minus 2 raised to the power 4, right? Minus 2 raised to the power 4 is how much? 2, 4, 8, 16, right? 16 into 4 is 64, right? 64 is going to be a positive number. Okay, right? Now I'm still not considering this sign over here, right? All am I saying that I'm not considering this sign over here, right? Okay, now x cube value is how much? Minus 8. Minus 8 into 3 is how much? Minus of 24. Okay, I'm still not considering this sign, right? I'm not considering this sign at all. Okay, right? Now over here x square is how much? 4 right? X square is 4 into 8 is how much? 32, right? And x is equal to minus 2, right? And in that case over here will be how much, right? Minus 2 into 14 is how much? Minus 28, right? And the last one is going to be a positive number, plus 12 for sure. Okay, now what you have to do, now what you are supposed to do, you have to pick it one by one. Okay, right? If I pick the first option over here, right? Okay, the sign before that is positive, so it will remain negative. Okay, it is the sign before that is negative, the sign before that is negative, negative will become positive, right? Over here the sign is positive, so over here it will become positive, right? Okay, now negative is how much over here? Okay, this particular value will become how much? Negative positive, right? So now let's calculate that over here. How much is that? 4. Okay, 4 plus 2 is how much? 6. 96, right? This is in minus. Okay, now all of this, how much is that? 32, 60, right? 60 plus 6, 66, plus 30 is how much? 96. Okay, by luck we got over here as the first one itself, right, equal to 0, right? Similarly you are supposed to check, right, by manipulating each of the signs so that you get the value 0. Okay, all right folks, so let's move on to the next one over here. In that case, right, now this is a very classical question over here, I must say, right? Okay, log 2 base 10 is equal to 0.301 and log 3 base 10 is equal to this particular value they have said. And what is the number of digits, right? So first, how many number of digits are there in 60 raised to the power 60? Okay, first of all what we do, we assume x, right? The value x is equal to 60 raised to the power 60. Okay, this is our first assumption. Okay, then what we do, we apply log on both hand sides. Okay, so if I apply log on both hand sides, so it becomes something like this. Okay, and you know the property of the log. Okay, log x is equal to, if something is in power, it will just simply come right in front. Okay, so 60 into log 60. Okay, 60 into log 60. Okay, now log 60, I can also write it log 60 as 6 into 10, log 6 into 10, isn't it? Okay, or otherwise I can write 60 into, right, 60 into log 6 plus log 10. Can I write something like that? Because log a into log b is equal to log a into b, right? Log a into b is simply equal to log a plus log b. Okay, and everyone knows log 10 value is how much, right? Log 10 value is 1. Okay, similarly 60 into log 6 we can write as log 2 into log 3 plus 1. Okay, or again we can write it something like this, log 2 into 3 as log 2, right, plus log 3 plus 1. Okay, and they have given the values of this log 2 and log 3 values they have given. Obviously, unless otherwise explicitly written that it is not in the base 10, it is in the base 10, right? So 0.477. Okay, so which means 60 into, right, 1 point, right, 7 plus 1 is how much? 8. 7 plus 0 is how much? 7. 4 plus this particular value is 7. Okay, right? So 60 into 1.778 is what we have in picture. Okay, now I'm feeling a bit lazy. Okay, so I'll pull up a calculator. So 60 into 1.777. Yeah, so 60 into 1.778. right? So how much we get? We get 106.68. Okay, right? So 106.68 is what we are getting, right? So obviously the number of digits cannot be in point. Okay, you can't have number of digits as 106.68. Okay, so we take the number as 107 over here. Okay, yeah, okay, right? So this is what we have. Now moving on to the next question. In that case, right, we move on to the 11th question. Now this is a very sitter question, question number 11 over here, right? 17 raised to the power 25 and 19 raised to the power 25 if it has to be divided by 18, right? If it has to be divided by 18, simply you can write over here, if it is 17 and 18, the remainder as minus 1. Okay, minus 1 raised to the power 25. Okay, now if it is 19, which is 1 more than 18, so you can simply write remainder as 1 raised to the power 25. Okay, yeah, always remember this you can write only if these numbers are plus or minus 1. Okay, if these numbers are plus or minus 2 or 3, then you cannot write it this way. Okay, then also you can write it this way, but yeah, with some caveats. Okay, yeah. So yeah, absolutely, over here this one will give you minus 1, this one will give you plus 1. So the remainder in that case will be how much? 0, folks. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next question in that case, right? So if you move on to the next question over here, the HCF of x and y, right, is h, right? HCF of x and y is h. Okay, right? Consider the following statement in respect of HCF of p, right? HCF of p, which is equal to x cube plus y cube divided by x square minus xy plus y square, right? Okay, so now x cube plus y cube, we can write x cube plus y cube as x plus y into x square minus xy plus y square, right? We can write something like that. So which means p value is simply x plus y. Okay, I'm just putting the formulas. Okay, now q value over here, similarly if you solve for it, you will get x minus y. Okay, so p value is x plus y, q value is x minus y. Okay, now the HCF of x plus y, right? Now they are saying HCF of x plus x, HCF of x and y is h. Okay, so I am saying HCF x value is, let's say, right, 24, and y value I'm saying is 36, right? Then HCF is obviously is going to be how much? 12, right? HCF of 24 and 36, right, as per this particular question, right? Then p will be how much? The value of p will be this plus this. Okay, p will be x plus y, which is 60, right? And then q value is how much? Y minus x. In that case I will be writing y minus x minus y. In that case I will be writing y minus x. Okay, which is how much? 12, isn't it? Okay, which is how much? 12. Okay, so HCF of p and q. Okay, the HCF of p and q in that case. Okay, all right. So the problem over here is that I cannot write it as 12. Okay, right? The value of q is equal to x minus y. So which means 24 minus 36. Okay, so the value of q is equal to minus 12. Okay, so we don't have the what is the HCF of these two. Okay, highest common factor, HCF of 60 comma minus 12. Okay, right? Okay, so you can't say it is minus 12 or something like that. Okay, yeah. So the HCF of p and q, right, is not equal to over here h, right? Okay, and you check with any other number over here, right? If we take any other number over here, right? If we take any other number over here, let's say I am telling we have the numbers 10 and 30. Okay, the x is how much? All right, we'll take this particular number as x. Okay, x is 30 and y is 10. Okay, so in that case, capital H, which is the HCF of these two numbers, it will be how much? 10. Okay, now the HCF of P and Q, the value of P is x plus y, right? The value of P is x plus y, which is 40. Okay, and the value of Q is how much? X minus y. Okay, x minus y over here, right? Okay, so the HCF of these two is how much? The HCF of these two is how much? 20, right? The HCF of these two is 20, right? So yeah, in that case it is possible, right? Okay, in that case the HCF of P plus Q can be H. Yeah, okay, right? P plus Q can be H. Okay, right, isn't it? The HCF of P and Q, the value of P is equal to x plus y. X plus y is 40, 10 plus 30, right? And value of Q is equal to x minus y. Okay, which is your 20. So the HCF of 40 and 20 over here is how much? 20, right? So this is possible. Okay, now if I flip the script over here a little bit, okay, if I flip the script over here a little bit, okay, so I am saying x is equal to 36 and y is equal to 24, right? Then obviously capital H is equal to how much? 12. Okay, then P value is x plus y. Okay, P value is x plus y. Okay, 3 plus 2 is 5, right? This is 60, and Q value is x minus y, right? So x minus y is how much? 12. Okay, so the HCF of these two values how much? Right, 12. So this one is also possible, folks. So we'll go ahead with question number 12, B as an answer. Okay, right? So the only one thing you are supposed to understand, was the fact that this can be broken down into x plus y, and these things could have been broken down into x minus y. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's move on to question number 13 in that case, right? So we have x raised to the power 4 is equal to x square plus 1. Okay, so what we can do, we can write it as x raised to the power 4 minus x square minus 1 is equal to 0. And now they are also saying x value is greater than 0. Then what is the value of 2x raised to the power 4? Okay, now I'm assuming x square is equal to p. Okay, if I'm assuming x square is equal to p, which means this particular value is nothing but p square minus p minus 1 is equal to 0. Now applying the the formula minus b, right? You know what is the quadratic formula? Minus b plus minus root under b square minus 4ac by 2a. This is the formula, right? Now applying this, we get how much? 1 plus minus root under b square, which is 1, minus 4ac, right? So minus 4ac by 2a. We have something like this. Okay, so 1 plus minus root under 5 by 2. Okay, right, isn't it? Okay, now this is the value of p, right? This is the value of p. If we have to get p square, will we reach x raised to the power 4, right? So we have to do a square of this, isn't it? If we have to do the square of this, either you do the square of 1 plus root 5 by 2 or 1 minus root 5 by 2, it does not matter, isn't it? Okay, so this particular value is simply your p square, or otherwise x raised to the power 4. Okay, now if you solve for it, you will be getting how much, right? 1 square plus root under 5 square, which means 6 plus 2 root 5 by 2. Otherwise you can also write it like this particular value over here, right? Okay, you will be getting 4, right? And then whole into 2, right? Okay, if it is confusing, yeah, now this is going to be the value over here. Okay, this is how it will look like, right? X raised to the power 4. Now 2x raised to the power 4 is going to be look like 2 into 3 plus root 5 by 2. So this one gone, this one gone. You will be having 3 plus root 5. So in that case, B over here is going to be the correct answer, folks. Okay, yeah, easy, very easy, right? Now let's look at this particular one, P plus Q divided by Q plus R, right? Right, all of these conditions and stuff they have given. Okay, right? So P plus Q is equal to Q plus R is equal to R plus S divided by S plus P, right? They have given Q plus R should not be equal to 0 and S plus P also should not be equal to 0. Okay, right? Now you have only two options. Either one is that P plus Q plus R is equal to 0, or they have given P is equal to R, right? These two are the only conditions they have given. If I am assuming, right, if I am assuming Q plus R should not equal to, the summation of Q plus R should not be equal to 0. Okay, so I am saying Q is equal to 1. Okay, right, Q is equal to 1. Okay, right, and R is equal to R is equal to 2. I am assuming. Okay, I am assuming R is equal to 2. So Q plus R is not equal to 0, right? Okay, and S, right? Okay, over here S, or otherwise let's say I'm saying R is equal to 4 in that case. Okay, R is equal to 4, right? Now I'm saying over here, right, Q plus R is not equal to 0. Now S plus P should not be equal to 0. Okay, but it has to be equal to minus 5. Okay, right? Now these are the numbers that we have in hand, right? Minus P plus Q plus R minus S, that gives us 0. Okay, now let's just put it P plus Q, right? P plus Q divided by, okay, P plus Q divided by Q plus R, right? Q plus R is 5, which is equal to R plus S. R plus S is 4 minus 2, right? Plus minus minus, okay, divided by S plus P, right? So this value is how much? Minus 2 minus 5 over here, right? So sorry, minus 2 minus 3. Okay, so this particular value will give you minus 2 by 5, and this particular value will give you 2 by minus 5, which in a way is the same. Okay, right, isn't it? Okay, so yeah, one thing is certain, that this is correct. Okay, right, one thing is certain, that P plus Q plus R is correct. Now let's just check for P plus R. Okay, now if we equate P and R is equal to, if P and R are equal, okay, if I am saying P is equal to 1 and R is also equal to 1, so in that case we have 1 plus Q divided by Q plus 1, okay, right, and then 1 plus S divided by how much over here, divided by how much, okay, S plus P, right? So S plus P. Now we have to be careful that the value of S, right, the value of S we cannot take minus 2. Okay, if the value of S, if we cannot take minus 2, okay, can we take any other value in that case? Okay, can we take any other value in that case, right? Okay, if we, because P plus S should not be equal to 0, right, so S should not be equal to minus 1. Okay, so in that case I'm taking s is equal to 2. Okay, right, and q plus r should also not be equal to q plus r should also not be equal to 0, which means q should not be equal to minus 1. Okay, in that case also I'm taking q is equal to how much? 2. If I'm taking q is equal to 2, s and q, it can be equal, no problem. Okay, so 1 plus 2 divided by q value is 2 plus 1, 1 plus 2 divided by, right, p value is already we know is 1. Okay, right, so 2 plus 1. Okay, it works out pretty much fine. Okay, so for this question number 14 we will go ahead with C as an answer, right, either 2 or 3 over here is going to be the correct answer for us. Right, so now we'll move to the next one over here. Right, if the natural number, if n is a natural number less than 9, okay, sorry, less than 7, then what is the number of values of n for which 12n plus 2 and 8n plus 1 are relatively prime? Okay, so the value of n can be 1. Okay, if a value of n is 1, so this is how much? 14 comma 9, isn't it? Okay, putting n is equal to 1 over a 14 and this particular value will be 9. Okay, if n is equal to 2, right, 26 and then 17, right, if n is equal to 3, right, if n is equal to 3 we will have 38 and 25, right, if n is equal to 4 we will be having how much? 50 into 50 and 33. If n is equal to 5 we will be having how much? 62 and 41. If n is equal to 6, right, 74 and 49. Okay, are these numbers co-prime? 14 and 9, are they co-prime? Yes, they are co-prime, right. Are these two numbers co-prime? Yes, again they are co-primes, as long as you don't have any common factor between the two numbers, they are co-prime. Okay, as long as you don't have any common factor between the given numbers, they are co-prime. Okay, so how about these ones? They are also co-prime. Yes. Okay, how about this one? They are also co-prime, they are also co-prime, they are also co-prime. Okay, so the correct answer for question number 15 is going to be how much? 6. Okay, now they are asking what is the HCF of this and this. Okay, yeah, so can I assume over here x is equal to 2, right? I assume x is equal to 2, right, and y is equal to how much? Right, right, y is equal to 1, something like that, isn't it? So this particular value over here, right, x cube plus y cube plus 3xy minus 1. Okay, now x cube, which means 2 cube, which is 8 plus 1 plus 3 into 2 into 1 minus 1. Okay, right. Okay, so this is your 1 plus 1 minus 1. Okay, so 8 plus 6 is how much? 14, right. So this particular value I have reduced it to a constant called 14. Okay, now x plus y, right, now x plus y raised to the power 4 minus 1, which means x plus y is 2 plus 1, which is 3 minus 1. Okay, right, right, which is your 81 minus 1, which is how much? 80. So what is the HCF of these two? Highest common factor of these two is going to be 2. Okay, so how do we get to this number? Right, 2 plus 1, 3. This particular value 2 plus 1 plus 1. This is 4. This is 1. Right. So the correct answer for question number 16 over here is going to be C, folks. Okay. Right. the correct answer in this case is going to be C, right? Now let's move on to this one. Let x is equal to n into n plus 1 into n plus 2, where n is an even natural number. Okay, if n is an even natural number, so n could be 2. So 2 into n plus 1. Okay, I'm just writing it a bit quick, right? 3, right? 2 plus 2 is how much? 4. Okay, right? So how much? 24. Now the first thing they have said, x is always divisible by 48. Okay, is 24 divisible always by 48? No. Okay, so 1 is not correct. Okay, and then x square. Okay, x square means 24 into 24, right? Is it divisible by 144? Yes, absolutely yes. Okay, because 144 is nothing but 12 into 12. Okay, now if I take over here n is equal to 4. Okay, if I take n is equal to 4, which is your 4 into 5. Okay, 4 into 5 into 6, right? 4 into 5 into 6, right? So which is how much? 6, 30 and 120, right? This is the value of x. So x square value is how much? 120 into 120, which is obviously is going to be divisible by 12 into 12. Okay, similarly, if you choose any other number, n is equal to 6 and n is equal to 8, you will find that it holds perfectly fine. So that is why question number 17 we go ahead with B as an answer, only 2. Yeah. Now they are asking what is the LCM of x raised to the power 4 and all that values that they have given over here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you can get ahead by taking any number as well over here, right? Okay, if I'm taking x is equal to, over here I'm taking x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1 is what I'm taking, right? If I'm taking x is equal to 2, y is equal to 1, how does this work out? X raised to the power 4 plus x square y square plus y raised to the power 4. How does it work out? 2, 4, 8, 16 plus x square is how much? 4 plus y square is how much? 1. Okay, this is your 21. Basically this expression we have turned that into a constant, which is 21. Okay, now this particular value, x cube into y plus y raised to the power 4. Okay, x cube is how much? 2, 4, 8, right? 8 into 1. So this is your 8 plus 1. Now this is going to be, this number is 9. Okay, now how about this one? Okay, if I have to check for this particular value now, okay, which is your x raised to the power 4 y square minus x cube y cube. Okay, the value of x we have assumed as 2, right? So 2 raised to the power 4 is 16 into 1 minus 8 into 1, which means over here we are getting 8, right? Okay, so now they are asking what is the LCM of 8, 9 and 21. Okay, what is the LCM of 8, 9 and 21? Okay, so in that case it will go by 3, 8, 3, 7, right? So 24, 21, isn't it? 24 into 21. So 24 into 21, 4, 4, 4, 8, 8 to 10, 0, 1, okay, right? 504. Okay, now which particular value is going to give you 504? Okay, x raised to the power 6. Okay, x raised to the power 6 minus 1, that is common everywhere. Okay, so which means 2 raised to the power 6 minus 1 is common everywhere. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 16 and 32, right? 32 minus 1, 31 is common everywhere. Okay, right? Now 504, if I divide that by 31, it will go 31 times 9 and 4 times. Okay, right? Have we done some mistake somewhere? Okay, x is equal to 2, y is equal to 1, x raised to the power 4, x raised to the power 4, x square y square plus y square, 2, 4, 8, 16 plus x square y square, x square is 4, y square is 1. This particular value is 21. There is no mistake over here. 2 cube is 8. 8 into 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9. That is also correct. Okay, 21 is correct. Okay, 9 is also correct. Okay, x raised to the power 4 is 16. Right, 16 minus 2 cube is 8. Okay, right. So the LCM of 8, 9 and 21. Okay, 8, 9 and 21 is how much? Okay, the LCM of 8, 9 and 21. Right, let me just check over here. 504 divided by 31. Okay, yeah, LCM of 8, 9 and 21. Okay, 7 into 3, 21 and 24. Okay, 24 I think over here, just hold on one moment. Okay, so we have 24 into 21, right? So 504. Okay, right. Now 504, yeah, okay, so this particular value, okay, 831 into 8 over here. Yeah, no, we can't do it this way. We'll have to do some other way. Okay, because this particular value will become the same. Okay, the difference lies with YQ. Okay, so what we will do in that case, right, we will not have any other option x minus 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Even if you choose 3, then the number goes very high. Okay, 27 into 27. Okay, yeah, the LCM of these two. See, I'm not a very big fan of formulas. You can use the formulas and stuff and solve also, right? Okay, but I'm not a very big fan of formulas, so I just always try to break it into the I always try to break it into the variables. Okay, sorry, the constants. Okay, that's what I always do. Okay, so let's just try it again. Okay, but yeah, this time if we have to try okay, we don't have any other option, so we will be taking x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. Okay, if we take this particular value, then this is how much? 3 raised to the power 4, right? 81 plus 3 square is 9, 36 plus y raised to the power 4, 16. Okay, right? 6 plus 6, 12, 12 plus 1 is 13, 3, 1. Okay, 133. Okay, now there's some big numbers are coming. Okay, yeah, now this particular value, right, this particular value, x cube, right, 27, x cube 27 into 2, 54 plus y raised to the power 4, right? So 16, right? So this is your 60 plus 10 is how much? 70, right? And then x raised to the power 4 and y square, right? X raised to the power 4 is how much? 81 into y square is 4 minus x cube is how much? 27 into y cube is how much? 8, right? So 432 minus 6, yeah, okay. So this is 8 and 0 1, okay. So we have to now find out the LCM of these numbers. These numbers looks very dirty, yeah, these numbers are looking very dirty, okay. So how are you going to solve it? Yeah, okay. Okay, so now we'll find out, we just LCM of 133, do not want to calculate honestly, 70 and 108, okay. So the LCM of 133, 70 is how much? 171,820, okay, right. And I've done the calculations over here, right, okay. I did the calculation in a little different way, okay. I'm unable to recall it, okay, right, which particular way we did that, okay. So B over here they are saying as the correct answer, right, okay. So which is your x cube value is 27 into y square value is how much? 24, 4, and x raised to the power 6, right. X raised to the power 6 is simply 3 raised to the power 6, right, okay. So 3 raised to the power 6, which is your 729, minus you have 2 raised to the power 6, which is your 64, right. So which is how much? 729 minus 64 into 27 and into 4, right. Please don't feel scared, I have used calculator all along this particular question, okay. I have used the calculator all along this particular question, okay. And yeah, we have to be very smart. The moment we took slightly bigger values, see the numbers have become so dirty, okay, right. And even if you actually use the polynomial formulas over here, it's not that great either, okay, right. So we'll go ahead with B as an answer to this particular question, okay, right. So we have to smartly pick the value in such a way, right, so that since this does not make the difference, right, this does not make the difference, so it does not matter what value we should pick for the value of x and y, okay, right. So we should have put x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1, okay, right. Let's just try to do this. X is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1. If you put over here, right, so obviously these three numbers are going to be different, okay, right. All four numbers are going to be different, okay. Even by using x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1, we could have solved this question for sure, okay. X is equal to 2 and y is equal to 1, for sure we could have solved this. Possibly we have done some calculation error, right. So let's just try to do it again. In that case, x raised to the power 4, right, yeah, okay. So in that case, x raised to the power 4, right, plus x square y square plus y raised to the power 4, okay. So x raised to the power 4 is 16 plus x square is how much? 4 plus 1, okay. This is 21, no doubt about this, okay, right. And now for this particular value, x cube y plus y raised to the power 4, right? So x cube is 8 plus y cube is 1. So this is how much? 9. Okay, I think we did this mistake somewhere, right? And now this particular value, x raised to the power 4 y square minus x cube y cube. Okay, so 2 raised to the power 4 is 16 minus over here 8. Okay, so 8. Okay, again up till this particular value we are still reaching the same stuff. Okay, we are still reaching the same stuff. So let's find out the LCM of 21, 8 and 9. Okay, so 3, 7, 8, 3. Okay, right? So 63 into 8, right? Still 504, right? If second one is the correct answer, which means x cube value is how much? 8, right? Okay, 8 into 1. Okay, 8 into 1. Okay, and then this particular value over here will be how much? 16, 32, 64 minus 1, right? So 8 into 63. 8 into 63 is 504. But in that case, the problem would have been option B and option A would have been exactly the same for us over here, right? Right, because we have taken y value as 1. Okay, right? Obviously, you should have skipped this question in the examination hall, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next one. X, Y, Z be 3-digit number. Okay, let's say I'm saying 3-digit number as 1, 2, 3 X, Y, Z over here. Let D be the difference between X, Y, Z and Z, Y, X, right? Okay, so this is 2, this is 0, or rather 3, 2, 1 divided by 1, 2, 3. This is your 8, right? This is 9, this is a 1. Okay, and when this particular value is divided by 99, right? So remainder is going to be how much? 0 over here in this particular case, folks. Okay, easy one, absolutely. Now question number 20. Let's move on to question number 20 over here. Okay, let P and Q be two natural numbers, right? Such that P plus Q raised to the power P plus Q is divisible by 512 is what we have. Okay, right? 512. If you look at this particular number carefully, right? If you look at this particular number carefully, right? 512, right? 2 raised to the power 4 is 16. 2 raised to the power 5 is 32. 2 raised to the power 6 is 64. 2 raised to the power 7 is 128. 2 raised to the power 8 is how much? 256. 2 raised to the power 9. Okay. 2 raised to the power 9 over here is how much? 512. Okay. Let P plus Q be two natural numbers. Okay, right? Such that P plus Q, right, raised to the power P plus Q. If it was 4, which means it must have been 4 raised to the power 4. Okay, is 4 raised to the power 4 is how much? Right, 256 divided by 512. Does 256 divided by 512? No, this is not the correct answer. Okay, now if P plus Q was equal to 6, which means 6 raised to the power 6, is it divided by 512? Right, 6 into 6 into 6 into 6 into 6 into 6. Okay, now it is 512. This is your 3, 256, right? This is your 3, 128, right? This is again 3, 54, right? And again 3, 27, right? Okay, so yeah, okay, so 6 raised to the power 6. Okay, so what we have, 6 raised to the power 6 if it is divided by 512. Okay, yeah, this way it is like, yeah, it is divisible by, okay, least value of 5 p plus q. Okay, least value of p plus q is how much? 6. Okay, how did we get into 250's 27? That's what. Okay, right, so all this is a mistake over here, right? The mistake is that we have to write 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay, and then 5 1 2, right? This is 3, this is 256, this is 3, this is 128, this is 3, this is 64, right? This is 3, this is 32. You will realize that in the numerator we have odd, right, the multiples of 3, and the denominator we have multiples of 2, right? So these two also has not worked out, right? Now we have 8 raised to the power 8 divided by 512, right? So 8 into 8 into 8, right? 8 into 8 into 8 times 512, right? 512, you can write 512, right? You can write 512 as how much? Okay, root under 512. Okay, right? It is simply bus 8 cube, right? 8 cube is 512. So the least number in that case over here is going to be which number? Okay, the least number is going to be your 20. C over here is going to be the correct answer, folks, right? Now let's move on to the 21st question, right? Question number 21, a plus b whole square divided by c minus a into a plus b plus c, right? Then this, and then this, all that. Okay, now they have given a is not equal to b, b is not equal to c, and c is not equal to a, is what they are saying. Okay, right? So can I say a is equal to 1, b is equal to 0, and c is equal to minus 1? Can I say? Absolutely, we can say, right? Okay, yeah. Or otherwise, if we want to make it a bit more simpler, I would say a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 1, and c is equal to 0, right? So in that case, this value becomes 0 and this whole value becomes 0. We are just left with this particular value, right? Minus of a, right, plus 2b plus c is 0, right, divided by 2 times of c minus a, right, which means minus of minus 1 over here minus 2, right? This one gone, this one gone, we have minus half. Okay, a is going to be the correct answer for question number 21, folks. Okay, right? So let's move on to the next one. Over here they are saying a raised to the power b is equal to b raised to the power a, which means a is equal to b simply. Okay, if a is equal to b, means this one will give you 1, this one will also give you 1, this one will also give you 1, this one also gone, simply it is 1. Okay, very easy question, extremely sitter question, question number 22nd, right? Now let's move on to question number 23rd over here, right? Now x value, they have given this particular number. Okay, so x is equal to 2 plus 2 raised to the power 1 by 2 plus 2 raised to the power 3 by 2. Okay, Yeah, this is the value they have given, right? So can we write it like 2 plus root 2 plus 2 root 2, right? Isn't it? We can write this particular value as 2 root 2, or otherwise we can simply write 2 plus 3 root 2, which is equal to x. Okay, so now x minus 2 is equal to 3 root 2. Squaring on both hand sides, we get x square plus 4 minus 4x is equal to 18, right? Right? Okay, so which means x square minus 4x is equal to how much? 14. Now they want x square minus 4x minus 10. So reducing minus 10 on both hand sides. So x square minus 4x minus 10 is equal to 14 minus 10 is equal to 4 simply, right? So 23. We go ahead with C as an answer to this particular question, folks. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. Question number 24, right? Okay, so now we are moving to question number 24, right? This is a very interesting question, right? This is a question of componendo and dividendo, right? Or otherwise you can also think of some values. Okay, you can also think of some values. Okay, right? Can we think of p is equal to 10 and x is equal to 4, right? Sorry, x is equal to 6, right? If we think like that, so what happens? Root under p plus x, root under 16, plus root under p minus x, p minus x. Okay, p is how much? 10, minus x is this, divided by root under p plus x minus root under p minus x. Okay, this value is 4 plus 2 is 8, and over here this is how much? 4 minus 2 is how much? 2. Now it is giving us how much? 4, right? So this is not working out. Then we can also choose some other values like p is equal to 5 and x is equal to 4. If we choose such a number, p is equal to 5 and x is equal to 4, in that case root under, right, 5 plus 4 plus root under 5 minus 1, root under 5 plus 4 minus root under 5 minus 1. Okay, so root 9 is how much? 3 plus 2 divided by, okay, 3 minus 2, right, which is equal to 5. Okay, right? Okay, we are supposed to have x value as 4 over here, right? So this was 3 plus 1 and 3 minus 1, okay, which means it was 4 by 2, isn't it? 4 by 2, p is equal to 5 and x is equal to 4, root under 5 plus 4. 5 plus 4 is how much? 9. 9 root under is 3 and 5 minus 4 is root under 1. Okay, so this is not working out now, so we will have to apply this formula of componendo and dividendo, right? Okay, if you have something like if you have something like a by b, right, a by b is equal to c by d, the componendo and dividendo says a plus b divided by a minus b is equal to c plus d divided by c minus d. Okay, yeah, right. So if we apply this componendo and dividendo over here, right, so numerator is p plus x plus root under p minus x. Okay, right, this is in the numerator, plus the denominator we have p plus x, right, p plus x minus of root under p minus x, right. Now this is divided by numerator, which is root under p plus x, okay, not bracket, okay, plus root under p minus x minus root under p plus x minus root under p minus x, right. Now which is equal to p plus 1. Why? Because there is divided by 1 and then p minus 1. Okay, so which means this one value gone. Okay, and this value is also gone. Okay, so what we are left is 2 times of root under p plus x divided by 2 times of root under p plus p minus x is equal to p plus 1 and then p minus 1. Okay, right. So otherwise we have p plus x divided by p minus x is equal to p plus 1 and p minus 1 remaining with us, right. This is what we are left over here with. Now let's make some space. Okay, we made some space over here, right. Now if we square on both sides, if we square over here on both sides, we will get p plus x divided by p minus x is equal to p plus 1 whole square divided by p minus 1 whole square, right. Is that what we will be getting, right? Okay, so this is what we will be getting. Now what we have to do, we have to find out what is the value of x. Okay, so to find out the value of x, we will have to separate all the x terms over here. Okay, yeah, right. And possibly we can apply the componendo and dividendo rule over here again, right. Okay, so which means p plus x plus p minus x divided by p plus x minus p minus minus, okay, not this, okay, plus x, which is equal to p plus 1 whole square plus p minus 1 whole square divided by p plus 1 whole square minus of p minus 1 whole square, right. Okay, this one gone, this one gone, this one gone, this one gone. Okay, so what we are left over here is 2p divided by 2x is equal to, right. Now if we solve for this, over here we get p square plus 2p plus 1 into, right, sorry, not into, plus p square minus 2p plus 1 divided by p square plus 2p plus 1 minus of p square minus 2p plus 1. Okay, right. Is that what we have? So from here this gets cancelled and this one gets cancelled, minus p minus this two gets cancelled. Okay, and 1 gets cancelled and this one also gets cancelled. Okay, so what we are left is 2p, or otherwise simply p by x is equal to, right, over here what we are left is p square plus p square 2p square plus 2 divided by what we are left minus minus plus, okay, 4p is what we are left with. Okay, Now if we take common, p by x is equal to 2 times of p square plus 1, 2 into 2p, right? So this is gone and this is also gone, right? This is also gone. Okay, so which means now what I will do is that I will delete this. Okay, now the answer is becoming pretty much clear. Okay, so now over here it becomes something like 2p square divided by p square plus 1 is equal to x is what we have. Okay, right? So this is visible over here in your question number D. Okay, right? This particular stuff is visible in question number as option number D over here, folks. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the last and final question for the day. Okay, I'm also feeling pretty much sleepy, right? So what are the roots? Okay, right, what are the roots? In that case they are asking what are the roots. Okay, so what is the product of the roots? Product of the roots is c by a, right, which means b divided by a minus b by 2. Okay, or otherwise simply what? Okay, right, product of the roots c by a, right, c by a, product of the roots is c by a, right? This is the value of c by a, right, which means 2b divided by a minus b. Okay, so this is what we have, right? And the sum of the roots is how much? Sum of the roots, but just to still I know this is the answer, and sum of the roots is how much? 1 plus 2b by a minus b, which means a minus b, plus 2b divided by a minus b, which means a plus b divided by a minus b. Okay, these are the sum of roots. Okay, sum of roots is how much? Minus b by a. So in that case how much it will be, right? Minus of okay, minus plus. Okay, so a plus b by 2 divided by minus b by a over here is a minus b divided by 2. Okay, so in that case this gets cancelled and this one also gets cancelled. Okay, so these two are absolutely exactly the same, so we will say 25, right? The correct answer for question number 25 is how much? 2, folks. Okay, right? Okay, so with this we come to an end of this particular session for today. Okay, we'll meet again, right? And whenever you guys watch it, right, later also watch it and enjoy the show, right? Okay, all right, so thank you so much, folks, for tuning in over here today. We'll meet again and get going with the further mathematics questions.